Hey everyone, we are done with race one of the 2024 season, and congratulations to Max Verstappen on winning the Drivers' Championship. It's lights out, and away we go for episode 132 of the Eaton Asphalt podcast. All right, well, I think it was kind of like a shame on me for thinking that it was probably going to be any different than what we've seen all of last year. So, can't really get mad at anyone else but myself, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, this sucks. This sucks. I would have taken a 12 to 14 second win, been like, oh, he's just faster than everybody else. Lapping people at a second faster than everybody else for the first like 10 laps. I feel like he could have won that race maybe about by a minute at least, which is a bummer.
Last year I think he won by 12. We saw 12 seconds in the first race. We saw how last year went, and you're telling yourself, "Hey, it can get better. It's fine." Hearing everything about these Monza upgrades and just a few races for Red Bull, everyone's like, "This is a game changer for Red Bull, different from what they currently are right now." So this is not good in the least.
Yeah. So let's talk about it on the podcast.
Yeah, with that being said, let's talk about our sectors for this episode. We have our little elevator pitch, kind of our hot lap recap of the Bahrain Grand Prix, our winners and losers, our Grand Preview for a little 2-for-1, folks, our Grand Preview for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, and then our predictions and gambling recap for the Bahrain Grand Prix, and then going into our Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. So we're doing a 2-for-1. We're back to the 2-for-1s, as they keep adding these mother effing schedules more and more. You're gonna get 2-for-1, so suck it.
All right. With that, let's get into our hot lap recap. All right, new segment. We got some feedback from our many listeners that maybe we change up the format. And so this is how it's going to be. Basically, we're just going to break down the race as quickly as we can. We shot for 60 seconds originally. Probably going to be about 2 to 3 minutes to get everything we want to talk about in. But here we go. The first of many hot lap recaps. Marco, start the clock. Go. Max didn't have a perfect start, but it was enough for him to keep the lead out of lap one, and that was basically the last we saw of him until we saw him at the top step of the podium. On lap one, Nico Hulkenberg showed he was a little rusty and hit the back of Lance Stroll, causing Lance to spin and Nico to take an early pit. We saw Charles struggling to slow his car down, which we later found out was due to a temperature difference between his front left and front right brakes. Meanwhile, his teammate seemed to be driving like a madman, actually passed Charles twice, giving a shiver down the spine of the Tifosi and a chuckle to the rest of the grid that is hoping that Ferrari decision to have Carlos Sainz end up like many decisions that Ferrari makes, which is blowing up in their little Italian faces. Valtteri Bottas fell victim to his traditions and was relaxing in the pit lane for about 52 seconds before being released by his team that had to change a wheel nut. Speaking of sitting around and relaxing, Logan Sargent went wide at a turn and just sat for, 20 seconds, took a breather before rejoining the race about half a second past Nico Hulkenberg, who had already pit. George Russell was being told to lift and coast so as to not overheat the engine, which is potentially a bit of a glimpse behind the curtain, showing that the car really is in poor shape developmentally, which is reportedly the leading reason that Lewis chose to skirt from the Merc. Trademark that. We own that. Eaton Asphalt. That belongs to Eaton Asphalt now. And then lastly, the only thing I saw of note to include on the track was after the race, Yuki Tsunoda acting like a petulant child and almost driving into Danny Ricciardo, which would have cost the Racing Bulls almost as much as Yuki's salary in a post-race event. So Yuki not doing too much for his hothead, spicier than wasabi reputation. Overall, Max won by 22 seconds, but F1 fans can celebrate, something we can look forward to, Marco. P2 and P3 was only a difference of 3 seconds. So we might, keyword might, have a race for P2 in the Drivers' Championship. Maybe. Potentially. Teams are pretty much in the order that we thought, other than perhaps Mercedes, Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes, McLaren, Aston Martin. No one else scored any points. Max got his Grand Slam. Now he gets to brag that he's the first driver in F1 history to lead the World Championship for 40 consecutive races, making me consider that cricket might be a more worthy use of my time than watching this sport. Bam.
45 seconds.
Yeah,
Incredible,
nailed it.
dude. That's incredible.
Dude,
You
thank you
got
so
that
much.
out so quick, dude. Wow, that was a mouthful, but man, that was informative. Honestly,
Yeah.
I might not stop. I might stop watching the races. Just
You
get
can just,
that little elevator
yeah.
pitch, and I'm like, oh my god, perfect.
I might stop watching the races for another reason, but
Save 4 hours of my life, huh?
all right, there's a hot lap recap. Let's get into our other new sector, which is winners and losers. All right, as we continue to evolve as a podcast and get new ideas in the door, we're going to start with we're basically, instead of breaking down each team, we're not really X's and O's guys. We came to find out
Hmm.
3 years into this, you know?
Huh. I don't know, dude. It's just it takes a while, 10,000 hours.
True.
Yeah,
We were on the cusp of
very
being
close.
really technical minded guys. Didn't really happen, so we're just going to talk about winners and losers. Big storylines, right? When you're walking away from the weekend, we say, okay, this is who won the race, other than Max, and this is who lost the race, other than Logan Sargent. Let's get right into it. I'll start with the winners. I want to call you out, and you're Tifosi, Marco. Ferrari pit lane, fastest pit stop of the race, 2.23 seconds. Also, the second fastest pit stop in the race. How do you feel? Is this kind of your Super Bowl, your championship?
I couldn't be more proud of this team. Yeah, stop everything while we're ahead.
Stop the
Yay.
count. We did it.
Yeah,
What do you
I don't
get at
know.
the end? What do you get at the end of the
I think
season?
you get a
You got the
trophy.
most
I think
DHL fastest
there's
lap awards.
some type of trophy or something. I don't think there's monetary value, which would be wild if they did. Because I'm pretty sure typically Red Bull is always the winner of that too.
Yeah. We got to find
We will
something.
win.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
think Red Bull is like sandbagging on the pit lane a little bit? No, you can't split milliseconds like that.
Yeah, that'd be wild. Should be like, hey, front left struggle one little bit.
Yeah. Give an extra tenth of a second on that front left.
Noted. Aye, aye, Captain.
Yeah. Sticking on the Ferrari beat here, Carlos Sainz. I put him as a winner, really giving Ferrari second thoughts early in the season here. Marco, let me ask you this. How many races does Carlos Sainz have to finish ahead of Charles consistently to make you regret getting excited for a Charles and Lewis? Like, at what point is Carlos more valuable than Charles? How many races of Carlos beating Charles consistently?
I'm not looking at it that way. I'm looking at it as Carlos being more valuable than Lewis. And when this came out, right, obviously, like outside of the racetrack, sure, I get it, the excitement. I loved it. I was pumped for it. But I am not sure. And I would probably lean to a current driver to driver comparison. Just I know sample size, different cars, everything like that over the past year and kind of where the trajectory is going. I think Sainz is maybe a better driver, especially for the long haul. Lewis is 38, 39. Sainz, I think, has been showing good. And then showing this, I think hearing him out too of why last year was a struggle being more defensive and why the car itself, we couldn't overheat. You're just like, we're not allowed to attack. It's just take a step back and defend. This year, he's like, this first race was like, you can attack. You can actually pursue it. There's not going to be like any overheating issues that we see so far. So him being able to just full on, and we saw it multiple times last race, is a bit of concern of like, did we pick Lewis because he is truly, we believe, the better driver currently? Or it's like the other outside things, which I fully understand why they would, regardless if it's like, maybe it's Lewis, maybe it's a coin flip, but we're going to go with Lewis because he is, everything else included, is the better person to go with. So I am pessimistic on it comes to actual talent that we're picking the right guy, but I'm still TBD on it.
we'll go ahead and clip that and release it on X so that the Lewis
Oh,
maniacs
dude,
and
they're gonna
hunt him
find where I
down,
live, brother.
come show up
Coming
at
after me,
your
dude.
doorstep. I'm not gonna say where he lives, but it rhymes with Shmena. And anybody who wants to go to his doorstep. Yeah, I mean I get it. Like you want to look forward, and like speaking of forward, I mean you start to see there the rumor mill is taken. The rumor mill is a winner right now. Put rumor mill down as a winner. There are drivers in Photoshops of all kinds right now. In Photoshops of uniforms, we saw Mercedes with Max or Mercedes outfit with Max in it. We saw Fernando in a Red Bull, or Carlos in a Red Bull. Fernando in a man. I'm getting all mixed up. Basically, just picture you take all the drivers and teams and you just twist it a little bit like a Rubik's cube. Like
Hmm.
everybody's mashed up differently. I mean that I love it. That's like obviously just seeing a Photoshop driver in an outfit of another car is going to be exciting. It's going to start the rumor mill. And speaking of the rumor mill, F1 has an investigation problem. Too many people, I wouldn't say too many because that, puts you maybe in a bad position, but like there's too many investigations to race ratio right now is not where we want it to be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, and I think Liberty Media is probably like the product on the track is not good if you want to be like a compelling race. And so they're going to be like, for the time being, hopefully this changes down the road. But for the time being, we have to provide so much product off the track to keep people entertained, keep people invested. There's got to be some kind of maneuvering in the backfield and trying to get some like flares things going because obviously yeah it's like if there was nothing else but the track and the race to talk about we would be we'd be almost wrapping up the race this week. So I
Yeah,
think there's a little bit of like, hey, we need to figure something out. Let's just bring in as much drama outside of the track as possible. And they are finding it.
they are. The president of the FIA, Mohammed Ben Sulayem, I think I got that right,
Yep.
allegedly wanted the stewards to look the other way for a Fernando Alonso penalty, kind of like stepping outside of his lane. And then Jos Verstappen sending shockwaves because that I think they're reinvestigating. Maybe the FIA is investigating Red Bull for how they investigated Christian. Basically, Jos just throwing some, I would say, pretty unwelcome, just riling up of everybody at Red Bull, saying like, "Hey, Christian is acting like he's the victim, but really this is all his fault." Typical stuff. My one critique of Jos Verstappen is,
Mm.
"Hey, guy, maybe we don't dig too much into other people's dirty laundry."
Personal life, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Maybe
Yeah.
like kind of glass houses, throw stones kind of deal there. And like Jos Verstappen saying that he's going to take or Max is going to leave Red Bull because there's potential of the team imploding. Like I think we're going to need to see at least a season where Red Bull isn't 2 seconds faster than everybody before we maybe think like I mean Jos Verstappen has a pretty big track record of like win by any means possible. I think he dropped Max off in the middle of the road one time where he didn't win a race and was just like, walk home. Just like, that's your
Yep.
punishment. So I don't think he's going to take him away from Red Bull necessarily. I think that's a bit of a stretch, but I mean, we're full swing with the rumors.
Yeah. I mean, clearly he's not a fan of Horner. You see like the rumor mill of Adrian and Helmet leaving. If Helmet leaves, Max has a clause in his contract that he can leave no problem at any point. And then with the conversations with Toto being like anything is possible, this is all coming from Yost. Does he have like it seems like Max, I make the decisions in here. Like I feel like Max and Christian had a good relationship. Maybe it's gone now, but I haven't seen anything on the other side of Christian of Max being like, I'm not happy here. Something needs to change. It's all been Yos. Does he like when he's like, my son is out, he's out, or is it like I want my son to be out?
I don't know if it's the case where if it's like kind of like remember who's the Lonzo Ball dad?
Oh
The
yeah, yeah, Lamelo,
that guy?
Lamelo's father.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dude. If it's like that situation where he's like, I make the decisions around here, and it's like, your son's an adult and you're washed up.
yeah.
So, like,
It's like get on my shoes, and they're like we don't. These are bad shoes, and he's like, fine. What the hell's going on?
Remember the big baller brand shoes?
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
$500 shoes
Yeah,
that were
yeah,
basically Walmart quality?
yeah, just ripped apart.
Sick, dude.
Yeah,
I missed that train, unfortunately.
I didn't.
Yeah, collector's.
Yeah, it's just
All
like,
right, let's move from the winners down to the losers. My first loser, Yuki Tsunoda, first lockup. He was chasing Danny after the race. Instead of picking up some rubber, he was leaving some rubber out on the track, and it's obvious that he was trying to act out. Locked up, almost hit Danny, then drove right next to him, gave Danny a little bit of a heart attack. Very on brand for Yuki, but it's like my thing is just like too early in the season. Like if this is where our starting point is, we can't be, where is this gonna go? Like, are you just gonna T-bone you get T-bone Danny if you get team orders the wrong way? And then also like you're fighting for P13,
mhm.
Like if it was P11 to maybe be able to pass and score a point, but it's P13, guy. Like
Dude,
nothing.
I agree with that. And your first point, it was team orders. Why is he mad at Danny? Danny was like, hey, pass him, pass Yuki. He's not gonna be like, I don't know if Yuki's gonna be okay with this. I don't know. Like, I think he's gonna fucking lose his mind. Maybe I lay off and actually let him take P12. I don't think so. He's just going on team orders. So yeah, I could see if they were like, hey, we told Danny not to do this, and he just said, screw it, I'm gonna do it because I think I'm faster. Maybe there's a little bit of merit onto like being pissed off, be like, this is a team thing. But yeah, again, he followed the rules. He followed his team's rules. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a bit of a head scratch. And yeah, I don't know. Like I don't know how much I feel like Yuki, everyone loved this little firecracker guy and whatever. I bet he's probably getting like losing fandom within his own garage and just like outside kind of by the day, especially when you go after Danny.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
gonna rub people the wrong way.
Yeah. Imagine if he hit him. Like imagine if he hit Danny, like and Danny like had another injury or something like that.
Dude,
Imagine-
Liam Lawson is like driving the car in. If that was they're that quick calling and be like, you're in, you're our driver.
Other losers, we talked about it already. President of FIA getting interfering with the race. Williams, probably my second biggest loser of the weekend. Williams, Logan Sargent going off track, just hanging out for a bit, and then rejoining in P20. I think a general rule is if you are, the skunk rule in Little League, where it's like, all right, this team is ahead 10 runs.
Mhm. Game
Let's
over.
call it a day. If you join the pack in P20 30 seconds behind someone who is already pit and you haven't pit yet, wrap it up. Like call it a day, I think. And don't embarrass yourself. Just call it a loss. I think there's big honor in being able to say like this was just a bad race. This is a bad weekend. Let's move on to Jeddah.
Yeah, the only problem with that is like that sets a precedent of this is gonna happen more than this race, I know. And if they just keep just being like, all right, let's throw in the towel pretty early in halfway through the race, that's not a good sign.
Yeah. Everybody's just constantly working summer Fridays where it's like, oh boys, it's Friday at noon. You know what that means? We're out of here. It's like, oh, it's lap 14 is usually
Let's
when
hit
we
the
wrap
bars
up.
early. Come
Yeah.
on.
And then Alex Albon steering wheel. Same. So it wasn't Logan's fault, by the way, because he had a steering wheel issue.
Hmm.
Albon had the same steering wheel, stopped working. I don't know. Williams just taking an L. Not as bad as Alpine has been just absolutely eating L's. Uh, Car sucks. Qualified P19, P20. Senior leadership was either let go or fired. You decide. Probably fired. Drivers hate each other. This season isn't going to get any better. Next season isn't going to get that much better before the regulations come in 26. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Who's gonna want like if either of those drivers are like I'm out, which I could see both of them wanting to, who's gonna be like, oh, Alpine's on my list. Let's do that over any of the other teams right now.
Maybe Yuki gets forced into it. Yuki has
Yeah.
one more incident. That's what Helmet is saying. Just like, if you have one more incident, we will make you drive the Alpine.
It's like, okay, okay.
He's like, fine, I
Yeah,
won't.
all right, sure. Danny's cool.
All right, that was fun. That was winners and losers. I think we'll probably transition into that. That was a lot more fun to prepare for, to be honest with you, than just our normal way. So you can expect more of that. Let's go from winners and losers onto this coming weekend in Saudi Arabia with our Grand Preview. Before we get to the Grand Preview, though, we have an ad, Marco. We're making money, we're wheeling and dealing, getting sponsorships left and right.
Mm.
This Grand Preview for the Jeddah Saudi Arabian Grand Prix is brought to you by Major League Fishing. Do you think that the upcoming season in F1 is feeling a little ominous due to the championship basically being decided after one race? Is the world of Formula One becoming too boring and predictable for you? Does it feel like every race weekend you know who's going to be on the front row, you know who's going to be playing their national anthem, you know what you're going to be hearing for the podium celebration? Are you ready for some real action? REEL?
Nice.
Get hooked on the world's newest, second most boring sport as anglers battle it out for the biggest catch of the day, navigating treacherous waters and epic showdowns that even the fiercest F1 rivalries can't match. These fantastic athletes are angling for some good times. Watch them tackle the monotony of waiting for fish to take the bait. It's not exciting, but at least you're not positive who's going to win every time we're out. Major League Fishing. It's probably worth a shot. It's probably worth a shot. So thank you, Major League Fishing.
Gotta try,
I mean, cricket's out there. I know there's some sailing regattas coming up. Might be.
It'll change. It'll get way better. Don't worry.
Okay.
I'm not as. I have high hopes. It's all going to be different.
All right.
Speaking of different, let's talk about our Grand Preview, of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. All right, Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. It is consisting of 50 laps. It is the third largest track on the calendar behind Spa and Vegas. The first Grand Prix was in 2001. We have 3 DRS zones and 27 corners. By far the most corners on the grid. So basically, high level of this track, it is extremely fast. The average speeds are around the Jeddah Cornish circuit, named after the hen, obviously, are around 250 kilometers per hour. Ian, 250 kilometers per hour, miles per hour, go.
About 148.
All right, so it is quicker, 148 miles per hour, book it. Quicker than those at Silverstone, second to only Monza, aka Temple of Speed. So it is the fastest street circuit ever in Formula One. And then, like I said earlier, while the track also features the most corners on the calendar with 27, many of them just very quick bends. The drivers kind of bend their way around the Jeddah waterfront. Very quick, long track. So my assumption, or kind of my pick of what it looks like, Ian came out with it last second because mine I said a worm and pocket knife. It does look exactly like a bobby pin. Great idea, great pick on that. So that's kind of what the track looks like. Just it's gonna be quick. So if you got a quick car, Red Bull, good luck. Have fun.
Yeah. This is the blind corners are what I like about this one. You're coming around a corner, you can't see what's around the bend. It's always the highest propensity for an absolute disaster on track. And so I think that little boost of adrenaline when you're watching is what kind of gives you the extra little flair of there could be a horrendous accident that we see on TV.
All right. Well, I'm once again, Ian's pretty dark today. I'm sorry, listeners. I don't know what's going on here. Maybe we can brighten it up with some weather?
Weather in Saudi Arabia this weekend. Thursday is going to be a high of 85, Friday a high of 80, Saturday high of 79. So it's going to be clear all day. It's going to be hot. It's in the desert. And so, yeah, it's going to be a night race. So it's not going to be like blistering sun, but overall it's going to be hard. It's going to be probably some soft compound, some hard tire compounds on there. Nailed that. And yeah, I think it's all gonna be fun. This was a sandy track last time, or the first time we went around it. There was some complaints of sand on the track, so yeah, there's a lot of things that can go very wrong at this track.
Excited for that. All right, moving on to our race predictions and gambling recap and gambling forecast from this weekend. Let's talk about our gambling recap probably from Bahrain. I can go first. I went 2-1 with 0.16 units plus 0.16 units up. So I started with 500. I have $503.12. So let's go.
You're an animal.
Yeah, I'm crazy.
I went 1-2, which gave me mine. I'm only down 1.17 units, 1.17. So really, if I'm down to 478. Not bad.
All right.
Not
Keep that
bad.
trajectory going, dude. Come on.
Yeah.
All
Um,
right.
all right, talk to me about your gambling picks for the people to make millions of dollars, guaranteed by Marco.
All right, my gambling picks here are going to go. I'm going to flip it up from last week. I did the under 17 and a half cars don't finish. I'm going to go over 16 and a half cars are classified. So basically, can't have more than 3 cars DNF, minus 160, 1 unit there. Stroll in the top 10, minus 165, 1 unit there. And head to head, I'm going to go Danny over Hulkenberg, minus 120, 1 unit there. So it's a 3 unit special, yeah, folks.
Nice. I only have a 2.5 unit special this go around. I'm gonna go Max Verstappen, fastest qualifier and race win at minus 110. Sergio Perez top 2 at plus 150, which makes me very nervous for 1 unit as well. And then I'm gonna do half a unit little sprinkle on Alex Albon top 10. I think if they can work out the steering wheel issues that they had, they could be in for, for some quality. I want to say points, but point maybe. I think point is an appropriate amount of
Yeah,
appropriate goal.
that would be great. All right. Well, that does it for our gambling forecast. Let's go with our race predictions recap from last week. All right. We all got 0. Let's move on to our race predictions for this upcoming week.
All right, I'll go first for my predictions here. I'm gonna go Nico Hulkenberg for who doesn't finish the race, who could either crash or DNF. I think he's still maybe a little rusty. Driver of the day, give me Charles Leclerc. Once his brakes work, I think he might be really onto something. Douche of the day, Max. Don't know how it happens, but I could see it happening. My wild card prediction is both stake F1 Saubers in the points. How do we feel about that?
Sure. Yeah, that's
Take
fine.
it as good. All right.
Yeah.
Fastest lap. I'm going to put down Max Verstappen and a motion to suspend this specific prediction, or maybe do like a second fastest lap of the race, like runner up fastest lap if he continues on this trajectory. Then I'm going to put 2 cars at 2 cars to not finish this race, just so that you can win your bet.
Perfect.
Good friend.
I like it. I am gonna have to think on the fly. Who do I think doesn't finish? Yuki. I downward trajectory, kick him while he's down. I don't think that's gonna go well. Driver of the day is gonna be Oscar Piastri. Douche of the day is gonna be Logan Sargent. He's either gonna be a douche to his own garage, or he's gonna bump into someone as he also is a douche to his own garage. Wildcard prediction, top of the head. I'm gonna go with Oscar Piastri podium.
Love it. Take it.
All right. I'm going to go fastest lap. I am going to go with, did you say Max?
Yeah.
Perfect. I am going to go with Charles. How many cars don't finish fourth, making me miss my gambling pick? Done.
One way. You might
Gotta
have
go one way.
one way or the other.
Or it's going to be 5 where I miss them both.
Yeah.
All right. Last sector we got is judging by the sound of Ian, I only did it two truths and a lie. Ian, do you want me to go?
Yes, I do.
All right, we'll just do a one-person show here on two truths and a lie. All right, here I go. I did have to skim a lot. I know we went pretty hard on the fun facts of Saudi Arabia last year. And so I think we kind of know all the really dark things. I tried to switch it up a little bit. Number 1, Saudi Arabia offers free medical care to the general people, including all women. Number 2, Saudi is the largest country in the world without a river. And number 3, a woman's testimony does not carry the same weight as that of a man. In their court, the testimony of one man equals 3 women under the interpretation of that Shari's law. Judges may discount the testimony of a persons who are not practicing Muslims or who do not adhere to the correct doctrine. So 1 to 3 guy to girl ratio in a court of law. Which one's truths? Which one is a lie?
I'm going to go with the first one being a lie.
Wrong.
Wrong. What is it? Second one?
No, last one. It's 1 to 2. It's only half as important, not a third.
Well,
huh?
Initially, I was kind of confused as to why you had to specify women for like it to all general
I added that in,
including women.
I added
was
that
like,
at the end. I was gonna mess it up. I was like, dude, they're not huge fans of women having a good time, it seems like. So I wanted to sprinkle that in to mess you up, and it worked. Hell yeah.
It did.
All right,
Nice.
cool.
All right. Well, we'll be better next week on that one. And I think that's all from the boys here. But yeah, thanks everybody for listening. We'll see you after the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix.
See you, assholes.
See you, assholes.
Hey, thought you could leave without saying goodbye.
I used to say I lived my life a quarter mile at a time. And I think that's why we were brothers. Because you did too.